Well, Josef Gregory Mahoney joins me now from Shanghai. He is a professor of politics and international relations at East China Normal University. Professor, thanks so much for joining our program today.
Thank you.
Well, first off, let's talk about the Belt and Road Initiative, and it's marking its 10th year. It's been around for a decade. What impact over those years has the program had on China, as well as the partners who have signed on to the Belt and Road Initiative?
Well, the first thing I think we should note is that China is still a developing country, but it's also achieved a fairly high level of modernization, what the Chinese call a Xiaokong society. Again, by lifting more than 800 million out of poverty, eliminating extreme poverty, and establishing a population of more than 400 million middle-income earners. And, China's done this by following a peaceful, sustainable, and culturally suitable path. Now, over the past decade, these capacities have been shared increasingly with the world through the Belt Road Initiative, with China continuing its development by developing with others, with the understanding that what's good for the world is good for China, and vice versa. Now, one of the really fabulous things about the BRI is that these projects have been aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals directly associated with the UN 2030 Development Agenda. Now, this ensures that these efforts reinforce multilateralism and advance global development in ways that correspond with a global vision, not just Beijing's vision. And the results are really quite stunning. Numerous studies have proved that the Belt Road Initiative has created income benefits by promoting interconnections. We've seen these taking the forms of rail lines, bridges, highways, seaports, but also digital connectivity. Now, this has scored so far the biggest successes meeting the long overdue infrastructure investment needs in South and Southeast Asia, where we've seen studies indicating BRI projects correlating with significant increases in real incomes in Asian GDP. Now, these efforts have only become more global over time, and we should expect to see similar results in Africa, Latin America, Central Asia, and elsewhere.
Professor, of course, the pandemic affected a lot of countries. I want to know whether the pandemic had a huge effect on the BRI, and are we starting to see a rebound now that some of those restrictions are being lifted?
We are seeing a rebound. We do know that the pandemic had an impact. It created some opportunities for growth, actually, so some of the projects moved forward while others lagged. But, one of the real drags that we're having now on Belt Road Initiative projects is the U.S. government consistently raising interest rates, making it more difficult for countries to pay their existing debts, making it putting pressure on them to take on additional debt to develop new projects. And so this is what's really pinching a lot of the Belt Road Initiative projects now. But I think that we'll see China and the countries that it's working with finding workarounds for these kinds of problems over the coming year.
And so what's next for the Belt and Road Initiative? You mentioned some of the challenges. So what does the future hold for BRI?
Well, last year, the World Bank estimated that BR projects will increase participating countries' trade by an average of 4.1%, while cutting their trade costs by as much as 2.2%. And developing countries in East Asia and the Pacific Ocean that have joined BRI projects might expect GDP increases in the range of 2.6 to 3.9%. Also, last year, the Center for Economics and Business Research, which is an economic consultancy based in London, published a study estimating that BR projects will help grow global GDP by $7.1 trillion per year by 2040, particularly as improved infrastructure makes trade cheaper and easier. Now, this explains why the more than 150 countries around the world have signed up for inclusion and why we might expect more to join.
Professor Josef Gregory Mahoney, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you.